So just start with name, what band you were a part of, and then
all right.
there. Look wherever you want.
So, I feel awkward now. Jen Wiley, in loving memory, from Des Moines, Iowa. So.
Yeah, man. And then so let's start with like your first exposure to more obscure music, and who put you onto that, and like why you felt any relation to it.
So I would say like when we started high school, my best friend that I made in high school, Katie McLaughlin, and all of us would know her, everybody in the band. We would have shows in her basement and stuff. Anyways, we started hanging out and we like punk and stuff like that, and kind of like pushing the bar or whatever, and fashion and music and everything. So, we would go to shows and had a lot of friends that were into music and bands and stuff. And then like into hardcore, like there was somebody that went to our school named Ruben Vanderquack, and he was from Des Moines Christian. And so he went to school with like Brian and Spencer and everybody. And so like we kind of like merged our friend groups, and I don't know, kind of everybody's music tastes intermingled and it really stuck on hardcore, which is funny because I was just talking to like Jake from Fed by Ravens. We were at 8035 this past weekend, brought the kids and stuff. And it's like so funny on all the old flyers, like everything was listed as hardcore. It was either punk or hardcore. It could be like a melodic like band and it would just be instrumental and it would be hardcore. It would be in loving memory hardcore. It would be botched would be hardcore. Like hardcore and the screamo wasn't really a thing and stuff. But anyway, so we were all friends, and punk scene, like metal, like everybody was kind of swirling around. And we were also, Katie dated this guy named Matt Arbuckle, and he was roommates with Steve Sneer, like These Arms Are Snakes or whatever, and The Kinship and stuff. And so we'd go over there, and he would have he was like the girls and the boys' crush, I swear. Like we'd all go over there and just like be like, give us some new music and stuff like that, and just listen to him. And influences came from everywhere, but any band that did come into town, I was gonna take you guys, but like Harry Mary's would have like at the drive-in, like that show was just insane and stuff. And not like that screamo, but it's just like it was just like a little piece of time that there was just so much going on, and Des Moines was just such like a little epicenter between Minneapolis, Chicago, Omaha. Like we'd get all these bands, and all the show promoters like Scotty Robati and stuff, I feel like really made that happen, like getting everybody here. And like what are the chances that like our band, like just we like almost all of us went to the same high school together, and we're all the same age, and like it just was the perfect like little breeding ground for screamo, hardcore, punk, anything, just between Iowa City here and just the Midwest in general, I think. I don't know.
Totally. And then so what do you think you were getting from that community that like you weren't getting elsewhere?
It was just such camaraderie. Like we'd have all of our shows at the Botanical Center, which is so weird because there'd be like a hardcore show in the back room, a wedding going on like in another room, and like I feel like 3 times a week we'd have shows there. So you would just go, and there would be like all the same people that, all the same little teenage kids, up to like mid-20s, just getting together in there. And it felt like it was like your family. I don't know. And it was so fun. And it was Day of Atonement before I joined the band. It was like a Christian band or whatever. And then one day I was like with our friend Chris Davis at his band practice. I don't remember if it was like a Rue Morgue practice or some other side project. And we were in Valley Junction, which is like this cute little shopping little town out in West Des Moines. And they were practicing up in this attic of an old funeral home, and they're like, Jen, do you want to try screaming? And I was like, yeah. And then that's how I joined the band. They're like, whoa, like Jordan's like, do you want to practice with us? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because I thought they were cool. They're my friends. Like, what a better way to get in on that. So practice with them. I think the first time I practiced with them maybe was in like Spencer's parents' basement, which is like, he lived right over there. And then I was in the band, and I don't know, I loved it. Like, it was so fun. And I'm a very shy person. I am not putting myself out there. I'm definitely a background person. But once like we would like start, I'd have this like little milk crate I would get on because I'm short and like be up, and I loved it. And like just watching that resurfaced video of us playing in Sioux Falls in that garage show, and I was telling friends that I saw this past weekend, I'm like, it's almost weird to watch that now, being like, oh, that was me, like getting like fucking nuts, you know. But I don't know, it was the best times. It was seriously the best times. I loved it.
And then how do you think screaming and being so provoking, for lack of a better word, how do you think that benefited you? Like from being shy to then just fucking
I remember one time we were like gonna go on this like 3-city tour, which, you know, our tours were like Sioux Falls or Sioux City, Omaha, something. And my mom's like, well, I don't know if I want you like going those 3 nights. Because of course with me, their daughter, they're like, oh, I don't want you going out with all these strangers or whatever. But I like wrote her a letter and I'm like, this really helped me get out of my shell and like just feel like a completely different person, almost like a whole different persona almost doing it. And so they let me go, and I don't know, I just loved it. And it's so weird because I feel like everybody else kind of went on to like do more bands and stuff, but my parents were like, no, you have to go to college, you can't do that. Because I went up and like I was gonna like be in the exam and stuff, but my parents were like, no, you're going to college. So I went to Drake and like went a different path, and it kind of was separated. But then the first time I even saw people like being like, oh, in loving memory, I was on Reddit and I like saw the emo screamo group, and I was like, we were like number 1 on some people's like little kids like top lists of screamo bands, and I'm like, our teenage band from, you know, 99, 2000, 2001, whatever, is their favorite band in the world. And then I like kind of like started like checking up on it more, and then we all kind of started talking more about it. And so it's so cool to see this resurgence of everything like that. I don't know, I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, and then you touched on it briefly, but like what did your parents think of like sonically, like what you were creating?
Well, it was weird because my parents live out in Grimes, which is like, it was kind of a far drive, but we would always be there. We would practice there. All of our friends would go there. My mom would make everybody sandwiches, and I'm saying like, it was like 20 people, like our friend group of like, everybody has these black helmet, Spock hair, going there. Everybody stinks and is gross, and my parents embraced it. Like my boyfriend, Joe Ross, is in bands still, I guess. I don't know, but like he came and like my parents like let him stay there for like 3 months, like at our house, and I don't know, they might have thought it was weird, but they were cool with it. Okay. They'd rather have me like be there with all my friends than, I guess, who knows where. I don't know.
Totally. With good people.
With good people, and like everybody was nice, and you think about it, and like I know we like think like we're so cool, but we're just normal kids. I mean, we're still going to the school dances, we're still doing regular stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah. Then can you recall like some of the first shows in loving memory you had, and like where they were? Did you have any nerves to like?
Well, I remember like Day of Atonement's first show vividly, going to this little coffee shop in Des Moines and like seeing them play, and Brian screaming and stuff like that. And because I remember that's where I got my like first At the Drive-In CD, because you couldn't get that stuff anywhere unless you ordered it like from Sam Goody at the mall or something. But then my first show was at Harry Mary's, which was like the place for concerts in Des Moines, especially local concerts. Like I remember seeing like the Suicide Machines there, and it was like the hottest show ever, and At the Drive-In and stuff. So that was my first show. So it was so like, it was a lot of nerves, definitely, like getting on stage that first time and screaming and just, I don't know. But it just came naturally, and like once you start, it was just
game on.
Yeah, for real. You almost like lose it. You're like going, so you're so emotional, I guess, or whatever. So
sure.
I don't know. It was great, and ever since then it was all fun. And then I'd say like the last show I remember was after Tanner had left, and we played this Frank's House of Rock place. It was like an old movie theater attached to a abandoned mall, and I mean they turned off my mic because it was like too screechy or something. I don't know, but that was like the end of it. And then there was never like, well, was there? I guess our official last show, was it with Converge, or I don't remember now. But I do remember the Converge show at the Botanical Center we played was so insane, and just a lot of good memories. I don't know.
Sure. And were you surprised by the reception of the audience like at that time, and comparing it to like now, what you see over?
Well, yeah. So our audience was usually like all the same kind of people.
Sure.
But like our last show was people coming from Omaha, and everybody had their crews. Like we were the 515 crew and the 605 crew, and the Omaha people had like pink bandanas, I want to say, and like just coming in there and getting so crazy for us. And then like it was just amazing. It was like, what a way to go out, you know? And then seeing it coming back, and like I remember when we got our record done and getting that in the mail and being like, oh my gosh, like it's still happening. And then now it's like, oh, it's still happening. So I love to see it. I'm not going to be like gatekeepy or anything about it. Like, I'm so happy that kids are still discovering it and still like it and are into it, because that makes me want to like listen to it and show the kids and stuff. So I don't know.
Awesome. And then what do you think it was about this area, like, that gave kids a need to like
There was
wild
just
out? Because it's a lot of farms, and I guess when I
It is,
think
yes.
of like what the demographic would be here is
oh yeah, for
you know,
sure.
the farmer's son and like a pickup truck.
I know, and
Yeah.
and everybody imagines like cornfields, and if you drive 2 miles outside of Des Moines Metro in any area, it is just cornfields forever and ever. And back then in Des Moines, like, I would say Des Moines now is very like up and coming city, but back then there was not really much in Des Moines. So like places like Harry Mary's was cool, but it wasn't really cool until we had like Scott Schweinebart like booking shows at the Botanical Center and specifically reaching out to people. I feel like he almost built like this community of music and like booking all these local band shows and such weird shit that would come through. Like, why is Page 99 coming through Des Moines? You know, it's just, well, and then also like, so like we would go to shows around, you know, within a 3-4 hour drive. So like Sioux City, Sioux Falls, they had such a great scene. You know, Minneapolis, Omaha, Cog Factory was so good. And then also like us, so we'd go there and like, then I started dating like Joe Ross from Sioux City. And then my friend Shannon got married to Rusty Steele, you know, from Dispensing. And then my best friend Katie was dating Scott from Love Lost. And so like they all ended up moving here. And so then we got even more like, then Tanner moved here. And then Eric C. Walson, who was in Exam, moved here. And like, I don't know, I think it was just a lot of people came here because we were so centralized and it was so easy on people's tours as a stop that it was easy for them to book, but by no means was it just happening naturally. It was definitely made by people booking and intentionally having these shows and creating this community. And you can never, like we keep talking about having a reunion, but you can never recreate that feeling. There's no way. I mean, there just isn't. But
That's super sacred, and like the music,
It is.
I imagine it's like a time capsule of this really strange time.
yes, because we've talked about like where would we even have a reunion show, because we want to like have that vibe. But
are any of those venues still functioning the way they were back then?
I have a video I took out of the Botanical Center where we did our show, and it's just a storage room now. It's so sad.
That's strange.
I think Harry Mary's turned into Lefties. Did it, Nick? I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
So I think they do have music, but I don't know. You just can never go back home again, kind of a feeling.
Totally.
But I'd love to do a reunion. I don't know if I could. I'd sing one
Must
song
have.
maybe, yeah. And then,
I'm sure it would rip up a bunch in there. So then, in retrospect, like, what are your opinions on the music you made? Because we've spoke to some bands that I think would be named fairly prolific. Like, I Hate Myself, which was like a huge screamo band, and they're all like embarrassed of what
Really?
they've done. Like, Indian Summer declined an interview because of certain shame and embarrassment. So I'm curious, like, what do you feel about?
I mean, it's not for everybody,
Of course.
but what I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and then rehearing it, honestly, I think it's great for being teenage kids recording with some old guy in Sioux Falls. I remember when we recorded, I like peed my pants, I screamed so hard and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's great. I don't know if it like holds up over time, but if that's what you're looking for, then I think it's great. I think Tanner was so good at writing stuff, and Jordan's so talented, and I don't know. I do like it. I still love to put it on and get transported back.
Sure. And then, do you think you've learned anything from that experience that applies to like life now?
I think that was my first like foray into being more outgoing or more personable. I don't know, because I grew up in the like country and didn't have any friends like out there or anything, and which also made this community be like so welcoming and like, oh, friends, all the friends I've missed growing up when nobody lived by me. What was the question? I don't even remember now.
If anything that from doing that applies to,
Or like, what have you taken from the DIY scene
into your future life or, your life now?
Yeah. Besides like being more outgoing, I don't know, I just always appreciate anybody I see just starting out on anything. It doesn't have to be music. It could be their shops. It could be anything. I always would choose to like buy local or, donate to a startup thing. I love going and seeing little kids play music, which is since 8035 was last weekend. It was so fun seeing people that I could like imagine ourselves as like doing these things and like how that's probably the best day of their life. And I just love that they have that feeling that we got to have.
And then you touched on something about like life before meeting the DIY scene and how no one lived around you and there was a lot of shyness. And that speaks to the thesis of this film, I think. So to elaborate a little bit more on like what life was.
Yeah, so I did go to Johnston, which is the town we're in, and it was a pretty mid-sized school, I'd say. But my parents lived like on the very edge of the school district, and we like lived on an acreage and stuff. And growing up, like in summers, like there weren't any kids on the block or anything to go play with. So it was mostly me and my brothers and our fam, whatever. And so even up through middle school, it's like you'd have your friends during the school year and then it'd be summer, and it was before cell phones and stuff. So if you didn't want to like call your friend's parents' house and ask if they could do something, which I would still hate calling people. Once we got into that music scene, you kind of always know where people are. You show up at everybody's houses. People are always at my house, always dropping by, like going to the shows and just walking in, and every single person there, and you say hi. There's just no other feeling like that. I don't know how to describe it.
Excellent answer. What outside of music was inspiring you then, and what outside of music inspires you now?
So I've always loved art and like design, and I love collecting things. I am a hoarder. So music was just another branch of art that I found and to collect, especially like music and stuff, like records. And I always loved going to thrift stores, and all of us did. Like that's where all of our outfits came from. We just lived at Goodwill, which I miss those 90s thrifting days. You can never get them back. But then once you get into music, oh my gosh, obsessed with going to the record shops. You'd go down to Omaha and go to the Antiquarium. You'd go to Drastic Plastic. You'd go up to Iowa City and get the college guys like takes on whatever and just collect everything you could. But you'd always go with your friends too, so you're always like fighting to try to find the stuff first. I don't know, just added into that same personality of collecting and taking all the art in and absorbing, I guess.
Okay, yeah, good answer. And that relates to like, how do you think the internet has changed the search, right? Because like, granted, it's increased accessibility, so people can find more obscure bands.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I think there's like romance and a nuance to like actually having to go out and find it yourself or talk to someone.
Yes.
You get what I'm, so how do you think it's both been beneficial and detrimental?
So I think that there was a big difference from back then finding music till there is now. Now the world is at your fingertips. You could find any niche thing. It could be like, oh, you like black metal about kittens and adoption or something, and you could find that. But back then, like going to Steve Sneer, and we'd absorb everything he had to say. He was like our internet search. So then you'd try to remember every band he said, and then go to the record store and try to find those records. And it's different because we all liked screamo and hardcore and whatever at the same point in time as somebody that lived somewhere else. And we're like, oh yeah, didn't you love this band? And they're like, no, like I've never heard of it. And so like it was very pockets of who you know and how far, like playing telephone almost, like how far that band traveled or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It's completely different, I guess.
Totally. And then let's talk like professional life outside and living. What jobs were you working then, and what were you going to school for?
So back in high school is when our band was.
Right.
And a bunch of our friends worked at Subway in Johnston by our high school.
Okay.
And we didn't even have a manager, so like we'd just go in there and we would just be smoking cigarettes. We'd be playing like Charles Bronson over the speaker. Like people are coming in like, can I get a cold cut combo and stuff? And that was honestly so fun. Like nothing beats working with your friends, especially if there's nobody watching over you. So then, like I said, after high school, My parents like, you have to go to college. So I went to Drake, which is in Des Moines, for graphic design, and got out and had a little job time off. So I worked at Spencer's because that was as close to being cool as I could find. And then I've just been doing graphic design ever since, and being a mom. So took a long time out to be a stay-at-home mom, but still always appreciating doing art and stuff like that.
Yeah, certainly. And then do you feel satisfied with the art you made as a kid, and do you ever feel the need to like go back into sonic creation, making music?
I'm sorry, the glare on the sunset just, hold on. Would you mind if I just draw this blind?
Here, just pull it apart, it's a magnet.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It was great, but then it got very dark at one moment, so thank you. Alright, you're good. Keep going.
Are you good?
Yeah, all good.
Do I think that it could ever go back and improve? I personally don't. I mean, we did our screaming and our lyrics or whatever, but I just went off of what the guys did, and I love that so much for what it is. I would never. It's almost like remaking a classic movie. Like, you can't recreate it. It's just perfect, I think.
And then were you writing the lyrics for?
So me and Brian each wrote our own lyrics, but honestly, I don't even remember mine. I was too embarrassed, I remember, to include them when we did our CD. I don't know, because I was feeling like I didn't want anybody judging me. But now I'm like trying to remember them when I listen to it. So I'll have to practice if we have a reunion.
So they're almost like hit it, or like you don't.
Yeah, we have like our like chant out ones, but it's not like you can like hear it and like.
What would you expand on that? Like you said earlier, this is the backtrack, but like you felt kind of shy. Like what were some more emotions about the lyrics, or do you?
We loved like Black Cat 13 and The Locust and stuff, and honestly, we were all in a creative writing class together at the same time, and our teacher, Mr. Walker, Brian would remember, he had this mullet and always had sweaty armpits, but he would always like make us keep like a little like notebook and like just write down words that you liked and stuff. And so a lot of it just came from that. And they're kind of just random shit that, I don't know, I kind of thought sounded cool, and just when you screamed it, like I'd put stuff in there that like I'd want to like scream and be like, yes. But it was mostly just trying to be cool, honestly.
Okay, and then what were like, were you conscious of your scream at all? Because it's like a gnarly, it's a gnarly fucking scream.
Yes, and it would be so weird when we would practice like in parents' basements and stuff.
What's going on now?
Yes, because it wouldn't be like so loud and stuff, so you could really hear it. And so I remember like kind of like trying to like almost tweak it or like go on. I don't know. But once we were playing live, it was just, even listening to it, it's just like pop pop. I don't know. It's just how it was, and people liked it, so I just kept doing the same thing.
Totally.
It's good business.
I think that would probably.
I like for B-roll stuff, we put out these teasers. Like, what stuff do you like to watch? Movies, TV, anime. What do you ingest?
Well, we love just watching anything. I love binging. Now that, I mean, we're very just regular family, I guess. Put the kids to bed. We love like finish Stranger Things. I mean, how boring is that? For everybody loves that. Well, normal, I guess. I love watching like cult documentaries.
Cult documentaries.
Yeah, I just think that's crazy. Maybe you could think of Screamo as a cult, but I love that kind of stuff. I don't know.
How about
I love playing World of Warcraft. I've been into that.
That's the book over there.
I've been into that since 2007, and I still play it I'll go in breaks, but I love it, and my license plate says Warcraft.
Your license.
I just say like after like college and after Screamo and stuff, like I've always loved like fantasy and Renaissance fairs and that kind of stuff, and so obviously I love like Game of Thrones. I love reading Brandon Sanderson books and love Patrick Rothfuss and love playing World of Warcraft. I don't know. I mean, I think that really is like Jen Wiley to a T, but you can't have me without all the Screamo stuff either, so.
Certainly. And then, so did you ever feel like, or I think you would agree that like being yourself is important, right?
Yeah.
Was there any resistance from this community where you felt like you had to be something else? I
mean, yeah, back then people didn't look weird, as much as they do now. No like colored hair, no tattoos, all that stuff. So, you know, we'd go in somewhere, and I think the boys definitely got the brunt of it. Everybody called them faggots and stuff, like, all the time. And in high school, like, everybody called us art fags and would push them into lockers and stuff. Which, looking back on that, like, I've actually confronted people about it, and they're like, that was so long ago. Like, what does that even matter? I'm like, this guy sucked. He would always, like, say all this stuff to us. And they're like, oh, he's just the nicest guy now. I'm like, well, I was like, if I still remember that, like, 20 years later, then I don't know. But, you know, as a kid, when you're trying to be rebellious, I always thought it was fun. We'd go into Hy-Vee, like the local grocery store, and get looks, and we would be like, I remember like Brian and Spencer like putting black tape over their nipples and ski masks on and like running through Hy-Vee like naked. So we always were pushing the envelope, and that's before people had cell phones, so you could go do that and nobody would get it on tape. But
why do you think it's important to push the envelope?
Because nothing would ever change if you didn't push the envelope. No, just like how everything was labeled as hardcore back then, there wasn't Screamo. And now you go on the Screamo forums, and I feel like an old lady because I'm like, oh, Screamo. And they're like, that's actually this genre of Screamo or whatever. And I'm like, there you go, good for you. Yeah, keep going. It's just like metalheads. Now it's the Screamo heads, I guess.
Right. I think the genre names can be super divisive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always hate seeing people argue. I'm like, just enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I that is something I have to say about the community. It was always very like, there would be some people that were the know-it-alls and, oh, you aren't a real fan because of this and stuff. And I still feel like I kind of get that vibe from some of the older guys in the Screamo community. I was even telling Nick, I was like, I feel like I am not going to have any good answers because you go on our chats and everybody's like, oh, well, you don't know anything, so.
This isn't about that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're killing it. Yeah.
I'm curious as to what you listen to now still.
Honestly, I would say most of the time we listen to the radio in the car because the kids like that. And that's why it was so fun going to like 8035. I don't go to concerts very much anymore. Like I've been to see Jordan's band and stuff like that, but it's usually radio music. My favorite is, I don't know. I still put on like stuff from, like I still love like At the Drive-In and like Get Up Kids. I don't play like Screamo because everybody hates it besides me. I don't know. My favorite's probably like 70s prog rock though. That's what I grew up on, and that's what I liked before. I liked all the offshoot bands, and I still love that so much. And I love like Renaissance or Pentagle and all the girl fronted bands from the 70s and stuff like that.
And there's a lot more female-fronted Screamo bands coming.
Yes, and there's one from Des Moines, and somebody like sent me a thing. I'm like, that's awesome. Like,
sweet, following the torch, or carrying the torch.
So I remember back in our day, it was like me and Carissa from the Harris Day, R.I.P. But I feel like we were the only ones that I remember back then.
Sure, totally. And then one last question: like, how do you think this genre, this community, is like a vessel for supporting people, or bringing people up, or possibly doing good?
Or bad.
Yeah. I think it can go both ways. I think the gatekeeping is a huge problem.
Yes.
I don't know. It's like, that's gross to me. Like that's how I used to always think, like when I was in high school, like, oh, they're not cool enough. And growing up and being like, that's so fucking dumb to think like that. I hate that. And so it's kind of like a looking back kind of a mentality. Like, that was so cool, and I think that we had such a cool thing going, but to be like, oh, I'm cooler than you because I was back then, oh no, that's gross. How does it lift people up? I don't know. I think it's cool seeing there's so many Facebook groups, like international ones too, that you can like meet like-minded people. And I do have to say about the internet is great for, especially shy people, meeting like-minded people. Oh my gosh, you can really come out of your shell and really find friends. Even if you never meet them in real life, like you can really find people that understand you and are going through the same things, like the same things. I don't know. And back then it was just us getting together for shows, and that's how you found it, which was obviously so amazing, especially for people from smaller towns in Iowa.
Totally. And then in regards to like that whole exclusivity idea of that, like gatekeeping, I think that's hilarious because like this music for us has always been like a place of solace for the kids who maybe didn't fit in.
Yeah.
So to now just like regurgitate the same,
Yeah.
you're not allowed.
And I hope it's not like that for like newcomers and stuff. I'm so happy when I see people just finding out about stuff because you can never get the just finding out about something feeling back. And so, I don't know, saying that you're a fake fan or whatever, or oh, you're a hipster or something. It just is gross. And I hope I actively try not to be like that. I know I can probably be like that about things, but I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. Good answers.
I have one more, and I mean the documentary is called Finding Peace Through Hardcore. So how do you find like solace outside of even art, like how do you outside of music in general? I guess.
Yeah, you refer to yourself as like domesticated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What do you think allowed you to like settle down maybe and not be so? I assume young Jen was fairly rambunctious, right?
Yeah.
It's,
I think I still am. I've always loved just having fun. It's like my goal in life. Back then I was having fun. I'm still having fun. Sometimes I feel like we are just like, and that's why I love Nick. Like we just love having fun. We have friends that are early 20s. Like we just want to like always be having fun. We want to have fun with our kids. We take our kids to everything with us. We take them to concerts. We take them to shows and everything. Anything that we do, we take them. And so having fun, I say, would epitomize like high school and our Screamo days and our band days. It was having fun. And I've just carried that with me throughout the rest of my life. Just always having fun.